I'm Richard Randall. Welcome to The Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker, the owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. And this is the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with Colorado Springs Real Estate Authority. That is Barb Schlinker. Barb Schlinker is a retired Navy veteran. Barb is an author. Barb Schlinker is a pilot, and Barb and her team enjoy all that Springs has to offer. Barb, always great to be talking with you. Now, we air the Real Estate Voice show every Saturday, and if you can't listen to the entire show because you're just going from one place to another, it's always available on Barb's site, barbhasthebuyers.com, or you can search Barb Schlinker, SCHLINKER, on most of the popular podcast platforms like IHeart Radio. Every week, the Real Estate Voice covers great information about the housing market and one of your largest assets for most people. That's going to be their home. Barb, what will we be covering today?
Well, Richard, it's very interesting. We just got the new statistics for October, and the average home price actually ticked up a little bit. So it's not the end of the world. A lot of people are freaking out. We're going to spend a lot of time in the first segment talking about really what's going on in the market and what you can do if you're thinking of making a move in the next couple of months. The second subject is a new program we're launching. It's basically called a Certified Awesome Pre-Owned Home Program. And what it does is it kind of takes away buyer's remorse, because we've had a lot of deals fall out. Not just me, but other brokers are having buyers change their mind and get buyer's remorse, or they're worried about having to take on a home that may not be brand new and in pristine condition. So we've got solutions for all of that. We're going to talk about that program. And then we're also going to talk about the cost to sell a house. I called it the cost to sell my house calculator. So we'll go into all the various closing costs, what you can expect when you sell your home, and how to calculate it. And then the very last topic, we're going to cover some basics about how to sell a house in a down market. So even though we've ticked up just a little bit, it is down from its height in April. So, and we're seeing more inventory on the market right now. So sellers have a lot more competition than they did just a few months ago. And the whole dynamic has changed. It used to be really fun from 2000 up until April. As a homeowner would put their house on the market and it would sell. And the only question was, how much above asking price am I going to get? Well, those days are over. We're going to have to work a little hard on that. We're going to have to love on the buyers some more. And we're going to talk about different strategies so you can position your home to get top dollar no matter what's going on in the market. And of course, my favorite thing is to talk about our hot new listings coming up. Richard?
Well, the thing I like about you, Barb Schlinker, is that this is not like an experiment, not like the first year or two. You've been doing this for a while. You've seen the market in a lot of different stages. So let's start with this. Barb, the Fed has announced that they'll keep raising interest rates until inflation drops to 2%. The latest statement, specifically, he said there was no indication that inflation is coming down and that it's not time to even discuss the idea of pausing rate hikes. Wow. What do you think, Barb?
Well, you and I, you're probably younger than me, but you and I were around back in the 70s when the interest rates went up to like 17%. And I'm sure it put a massive, amount of stoppage on the sales in the housing market. And it also affects the sales price because most homeowners and most home buyers purchase on payment. Most people don't pay full cash like they do in Europe for homes. They actually have to get a mortgage and make payments on it. And it has to be a payment that they can afford. So if the rates are going up, the payments are going up. And so the Fed is thinking that if I just put a kibosh on the housing boom, that, we're going to be able to stop inflation. And I don't think the housing boom isn't the only factor in the economy, but that's what's going on. But I think what we're seeing right now is kind of a sudden shock to the market based on what he did. So back in early in the year, the rates were hovering around 3%. And since then, now they've gone up over 7%. And at the same time, a lot of these investors, the iBuyers, I call them, like BlackRock and Open Door and OfferPad and Zillow and all these Redfin, even all these companies that were buying homes stopped. They stepped out of buying homes. And so that reduced the demand and increased the supply. And the interest rates went up over 4% all at the same time, just in a couple of months. So the impact on that basically was that the inventory exponentially went up from 500 homes to almost 3,000 homes, and there are fewer buyers on the market. It also had an impact on house payments for home buyers. So this definite increase that we've seen in interest rates has made a difference for the median priced home of as much as $1,000 a month. So you couple that with higher gas prices and higher food prices, there are some buyers that are going to think twice before they actually, invest in a home. So it's really interesting to see what's going on right now. The impact, just looking back a few months, it means that our average price for homes has dropped about $42,000 since April. And we're seeing the number of active listings in the past year go way up 108%. The other thing that we're seeing is pending listings, meaning home sellers that are getting contracts. That has dropped by almost a third. And the number of homes that are being canceled or expiring and not selling is up by 40%. But it's okay. It's not time to panic. It all sounds really awful. But the truth is, a 7-ish% interest rate, if you look back over 50 years, is the average interest rate that we've seen. And I remember when I first got into the real estate business, I think when we bought our first home in Colorado Springs, the rates are around, 9.5%. We got a adjustable rate mortgage. And then 2 years later, the rates went down to 7%. And that was when I entered real estate. And my broker was doing the happy dance going, oh my gosh, the rates have never been this low, not in 30 years or whatever, and it had a moderate impact on the market. But, at the end of the day, people buy what they can afford. The other impact that we're seeing as inventories are rising, it's taking longer for a home to sell. So I'm sure, Richard, you remember me talking about it just a few months ago, that, hey, average days on market's maybe 8 to 10 days. Remember me talking about that?
Yeah, that's then. So what's now?
Well, it was 8 to 10 days back then, and the buyers would assume that if it didn't go under contract in the 8 to 10 days, there's something really wrong with the house.
Wow.
Well, all of a sudden, we're at 32 days, average days on the market, but that's only for the homes that are getting contracts. It leaves off the 40% of homes that are not selling, right? So what do you do if you have to sell in this market? We're going to talk about that in this show. But if you actually look back at sales going back to 2018, I just pulled our recent stats, we're seeing the same number of sales that we had in 2018, which was actually still a strong market. But the stats right now indicate number of available homes are up. Number of people getting contracts is down by quite a bit. Only 1 out of 10 homes are selling right now every single week. But that doesn't mean your home won't sell. The 3 Ps of real estate still apply: preparation, pricing, and promotion. And pricing is one of the most important ones. It kind of integrates all 3 of those items, including making sure your home is prepared for sale, making sure you price it right, and that it's promoted so you attract all the buyers in the buyer population. And pricing realistically is working now. A couple of months ago, some sellers would surprise me and go, no, I want this much in a bidding war environment. And sometimes they would get it. Sometimes they wouldn't. I'm like, wow, maybe I was wrong. But that's not happening anymore. If you overprice, it's going to hurt a bunch. And here's one little glimmer of good news in this market shift. If you look back a year from the boom to dropping back just a little bit, the average home prices still have gone up almost 12%, 11.9%. That's still tremendous. Anytime you see double-digit appreciation for single family homes or any kind of homes, that is excellent. So if you're thinking of making a move, you really need to hire an agent that knows how to get top dollar. because we know that demand's going to drop off eventually. And you want to make sure that you find the agent that knows how to create the most demand for your home. And that's what we do. When we meet with sellers, we show them exactly how we create demand by showing them our database of buyers, showing how we're going to approach the marketing and helping them prepare the home to market so they get top dollar. Just ask Dwayne and Shirley. This is just 2 weeks ago. We had an open house at their home up in Monument. We had 55 people there in 90 minutes, and we sold it full price cash.
Wow.
Richard?
You know how to do it, Barb. I mean, you've had a story similar to that just time and time again. You're listening to The Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. And you can always reach Barb and her team at 719-301-3900. That's 719-301-3900. And we're talking about the impact of rising interest rates on the housing market. Barb, shouldn't buyers wait until the prices start to come down?
No, I don't think it's a good idea. If you're prepared to buy a home right now, I would do it. Make sure you get your credit in order, get some down payment funds. But what we're seeing right now is a lot of buyers are actually negotiating to get the seller to pay some of their loan closing costs. They're getting some help with if they're having cash issues. And there's a ton of down payment assistance programs out there in the market. You know, if you're a first-time home buyer, you can buy a home with just $1,000 out of pocket. As long as you have decent credit. And it was hard to get those contracts accepted when the market was booming. But now that it's not, sellers are like, hey, this is a bird in the hand. I'm going to take it and hopefully everything works out. And usually it does. So for a first-time home buyer in particular, they're very sensitive to interest rates, right? So if an interest rate ticks up, they may not be able to afford a home. And there is no pressure coming off the cost of renting right now. So you want to make sure that if you are in a position to buy a home, that you get a home, you get a contract, and then make sure that you lock in your interest rates, because you can't lock in your interest rates until you get a contract. That's really, really important. And that's probably why we've seen the home prices tick up just a little bit. You know, back in 2012, it took 4 months to sell a home. Right now it's taken a month. This is not a bad market. And all the indications are the home prices overall are going to go up only because of the demographics. Because, you know, the millennial and the Gen Xers are a much bigger population. We've had a shortage in housing inventory. So if you can get into a home right now, it's a really good investment. You want to make sure you get the right financing, though, and find out before you make an offer what the competition looks like. Because you know what? There are still a few opportunities where when you make an offer, somebody else loves it too, and they make an offer as well. So if you're thinking of making a move, give us a call at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard.
Barb does have the buyers, and you're listening to The Real Estate Voice. That is Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. If you're thinking of making a move, give Barb a call, 719-301-3900, or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. When we come back, we'll be discussing why sell your home as a certified pre-owned home. We'll talk about that in just a few minutes.